The music. All right, folks, come on in. Oh, don't want to stand there. Come on in, grab a seat. We are going to get started. Handouts. Does anybody have an extra set of handouts? We've got a gentleman up here that doesn't have any. All right. You know, when you put your talk in for the symposium, you ask the question, well, how many people will be there? They're like, I don't know. Plan for, maybe 75 people. I think we have more than that. and I did plan for more than that, but I don't know how much more, so we'll do the best we can. All right, so what I'm hoping is that if you don't have a handout, you're sitting next to someone that does. So this topic of accountability, it's a room packer. It is a room packer. I went to has anybody been to an open space? Agile Community does a lot of open space. And I went to one up in Orange County. And the way the open space goes is you come in, there's no agenda. You pay money, but there's no agenda. You come in, that's rough for project managers, right? It's like, what do you mean there's no agenda? And I'm paying for this? So you come in and you create the agendas. It's whatever emerges from the community, and you talk about whatever emerges. And so I came to the one in Orange County, showed up late because I had some things to do at home. I came in, I saw there were still spots on the wall. So I'm like, I'm going to throw this topic out. Coaching, the secret sauce to building a culture of accountability. I'm thinking these Agilists won't be that interested in this topic. Maybe not, who knows. 57 people jammed into a classroom that holds maybe 20, standing up on the floor. So this is an issue for all of us, isn't it? It's an issue for all of us. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about how this concept of coaching can help with this. And you're going to get a chance to do an exercise. I know you maybe didn't plan on that, but you've got handouts. You're going to write some stuff down. Some people seem surprised at the handouts. Whoa, handouts. Yes, handouts. One you're going to keep, and one you're going to give back to me. Okay? So Jessica, may I just hold your two? This is the one you're going to keep, and this is the one you're going to do your exercise on. This is the one you're going to give back to me. For whoever will take a moment to give me feedback directly, I'd appreciate it. Yes, you'll do it in the app, and I appreciate it. And this I'll get right away, okay? This I will get right away. And so also there's some things that you'll be filling out on there for those who will want to take one of the giveaways that I have. You'll be writing something on that handout to give back to me. All right, so I want to hear a little bit from you here. So this thing about accountability, what's the deal? Anybody want to share? What's the problem? Hashtag there isn't any? Right? Right? What are some of the issues? Yeah, tell me.
We're all accountable, therefore no one's
Right. And this becomes a challenge too when we have teams, right? When we have teams that are working together. What else? Finger pointing, lots of different directions. Yeah, tell me. So complex it can't possibly be what?
My fault.
It can't possibly be my fault, right? What else? Tell me. What's the deal with accountability? Yes, sir, and then I'll get you. Say again?
It's not my job.
It's not my job. Accountable for what, right? What else? Yeah.
A lot of times it's a top-down thing. Just doesn't like it.
No alignment. So lack of vision, no alignment. People are wandering around with their coffee cup just running their mouth. They have no idea what they're supposed to be doing, right? Right? So that's a lot, right? There's a lot of things in that. We're going to focus on how to help people become self-accountable. Yeah.
There's those that aren't accountable
No matter what. Right. From accountability, for lack of better. So Teflon, right? Nothing sticks to me. I'm not accountable for anything. Yeah. I thought I saw another hand over here. No? Okay. Yeah. Tell me.
When we're so focused on who is or isn't accountable, it gets in the way of actually getting the work done.
Aha. So some structures maybe for accountability that kind of get in the way of people just getting the work done. Okay. Yeah, tell me.
And we struggle with co-sponsors. Like, we're doing this together. So then how do I figure out who's accountable for what?
Right, yeah. Right, so a lot of different issues, and there's a lot of complexity to this, right? And so what we're going to focus on, because at the end of the day, all we can be all we can have control over is ourselves. And that kind of goes to the individual that we're working with as well, right? All they can do is be responsible and accountable for themselves. And so how do we help folks get this accountability? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a bit about, well, let's just jump in. So this is me. I live in San Diego, where it's not 38 degrees. Yeah, so I live in San Diego. My family and I live there. I'm an Agile coach. My focus is on agility, leadership, and transformation. I help small to mid-sized businesses really find their vision for agility and move toward it using the practices of Agile, the frameworks of Agile, the mindsets of Agile. That's what my focus is. Please feel free to connect on Twitter and on LinkedIn. If you're going to try to find me on LinkedIn, make sure to put the R in there. Alicia R. McLean. Otherwise, I have no idea who you're going to get. All right. Sorry, I'll try not to do that in the microphone. This is the handout that you're going to leave with me. And if you're taking one of so I don't even know how many there are, but there's a lot of these DISC profiles. Has anybody taken a DISC before? All right. So if you've taken one before, leave these for the folks that haven't taken one before, right? So these are Wiley DISC profiles. The profile is called Everything DISC, and it's called Workplace. It'll help you to focus on your preferences and tendencies around your work style. And this is kind of what goes into this idea of coaching. We'll talk more about that in a bit. This is what it looks like, and you have 2 weeks to finish it, and there is a date on it. There's a code and a date on it. You will have an opportunity to take that for free. And so it's about $120 value, so you will be able to take that. You'll just write DISC on it, and please make sure to put your name and your email in a way that I can read it. Because I'm going to send you a note that will give you a couple of tips about getting started with taking this profile. All right, so let's move along. I have a couple of upcoming events here. A free discovery session that I do, that's coming up. If you're interested in that, you can write discovery on your sheet that you're going to give back to me. Also, I do a 2-day boot camp for product owners. Anybody have any challenges with that? I'm sure there's a lot of hands that go up for that. I do that, and you can get information about that by putting boot camp on your profile or on the thing that you're going to send back to me. So where are we headed with this? So we're going to take a look at this concept of coaching. How many of you coach in your organization? Yeah, so a lot of hands go up. Here's what I'd love to explore. Yeah, and a couple of heads going, well, do I coach? I don't really know. We're going to see. That's what we're going to see. We have a great opportunity here to take a look at really understanding what coaching is, what it's not, and then you're going to get a chance to look at a scenario. You're going to talk with your neighbor next to you about how you might handle that scenario. And then we're going to see a video of that exact same scenario in a real coaching situation. So you can actually see what coaching is and how it's different from what you might have thought. And so this is my mission, is to help people really understand the difference of coaching and how it can help build accountability for folks. And so that's our ride here. So we're going to explore, you're going to get a chance to do a demo, and then how will you get started if you're interested in coaching and becoming a coach. Accountability is the undercurrent of all of this. All right, so who do you think is the coach and who do you think is the person being coached? Is this the coach or is that the coach? Person on the left or person on the right? Person on the right. And this is what happens, right? You're at your office, somebody comes in, they got this giant, snared up bottle of yarn in their mind coming to you, and it's all just kind of coming at you. And you're now needing to jump into a coaching stance to help them find their own solutions and be accountable for what it is that they're going to be deciding to do. And so this is what we're going to explore and what we're going to understand more about. One of the biggest things that I've discovered as an executive and leadership coach is this idea of focus. How many of you have an opportunity for better focus in your organization? Right? So many moving parts, that ball of yarn that's above the head, right? We really have to get better focus. And so coaching is really a way to do that. I'm coaching a VP right now that works at a medical research organization, and he's got some really radical changes coming up in his organization, and he is not agreeing with them. He is not agreeing with them, but it's his job to execute. I mean, he actually used the word terrified in his last coaching session, right? So we're all human, and we all have these needs to be able to find a space to think about these things, and that's what coaching brings for us. So a couple of numbers, we'll talk a bit more about this, but there's some great data on the value of coaching and how it can impact your organization, how it can impact yourself, individuals, increasing productivity, all of that stuff. We have a lot of great opportunity for gain with this practice of coaching. So what do you think is if something stands out to you here about this list up at the top, what's something that stands out to you as a benefit for the coachee? Other than the bold, screaming red accountability, what else stands out? Value to the coachee. Yeah, tell me.
Centers around immediate results.
Immediate results. Yeah. What else? Something up there that stands out to you about what's the benefit to the coachee? Yeah. Clear communication. Yeah, because that whole ball of yarn, right, when that whole thing starts spewing out, that's not clear, right? And so how do we get that clear and focused and really moving in the direction where we're going to have some positive outcomes from it? Anything else stand out for anybody? Yeah, tell me.
Work more easily and productively.
Right. We just want to play, we want to play well, right? Play well, work more productively with other folks. And this comes from these coaching sessions because people have an opportunity to feel more confident. This executive that I'm working with, he got off the phone, he was excited. He's like, I really feel like I'm equipped to have these conversations that I need to have. I'm like, awesome. My job is really just to listen to him. That's my job as a coach, and we'll see this when we see the video. My job is to listen and ask him the kinds of questions that help dig this stuff out of him that he needs. And that's what you'll be doing in your exercise as well. So we're going to take a poll. We're not going to do it with the polling thing. We're going to go old school here. So tell me, of these things that are listed here, how many of you, the whole idea of improved communication skills is going to be best for you in your organization? Is that going to be the best thing for you? Number one thing. Is that your number one thing? Improved communication skills? All right. What about increased self-esteem and self-confidence? How is that going to be for you, your team, your organization, anybody? All right. Good. All right. Optimized individual teamwork performance. That's the thing, right? Being able to work in these teams and really being able to be effective in these teams. This DISC profile helps with this as well, right? I understand my work styles and preferences. My teammates will have a DISC profile. We'll understand these together and we'll work better together. What about improved work-life balance? Anybody raising their hand for that one? Come on, I know. This is a project management conference. I know I expect to see more hands on this one. Thank you for being honest about it, right? We do have to have more work-life balance. So these are some of the things that we get from this coaching and this ability to have this space to create the outcomes that we need. All right, so how does this affect your PMO, right? How can coaching affect your PMO? So the way that coaching affects your PMO is all of these things that are listed here, but what I would say is it's a tool in your toolkit. It's a tool in your toolkit. As an individual leader, as an individual manager, this is how you lead. You lead in a coaching stance. So when someone comes to you, oftentimes, I'm a project manager, PMP, so I takes one to know one, right? So a lot of times when someone comes to us, we want to just jump right into solutioning for them, right? Because we don't have a lot of time, we got all these moving parts, we want to just dive right into finding a solution. And what we're going to see in this video, in this exercise here, is what this coach does in 5 minutes. We think 5 minutes, oh my gosh, if I could do this in 5 minutes, that'd be great. So that's what we're going to get a chance to see. We're going to move here in that direction here in a minute. All right, so these are the things that you get with your organization. I'm offering that it's something that you're going to put in your toolkit, and it's going to be that thing that's going to really build accountability in your team and in your organization. And you'll see here in a bit. From the talk on the opening talk, this quote, mindset is everything, stood out for me. And it stood out for me because coaching is really that tool that helps people become aware of their mindset as well as have an opportunity to shift their perspective as they need to, or shift their mindset, if you will. And so this whole concept of mindset and GenFlex, it fits right into this concept. It fits right into this concept of coaching. And so if you're thinking about your organization and the success that you'll have, this is one of these factors that really contributes to it. And entrepreneur.com is the one telling you, right? This is how you're going to have this success in your organization. Coaching is the secret sauce. It is the secret sauce. And so there's a few people that believe this. There's a few people that believe this. And so I'll give you an example. So I was doing a presentation, and I said the name of this company so wrong. Everybody laughed. And I was like, oh, did I admit? What did I say? So I'm going to say it right. Ernst & Young. So Ernst & Young is one, and then PricewaterhouseCoopers. So let me give you a couple examples. So Ernst & Young has an in-house coaching staff. Their coaches are employees. I don't know if they're part of the human resources department or what, but they have a coaching, just a legion of coaches that are in-house. And they coach all of the Ernst & Young employees through every transition that they'll have at work. What's an example of a transition you might have at work? Promotion. What's another one? Reorg. Reorg. Happens every week, doesn't it? What's another one? Change your boss. What's another? Outsourcing. Getting a new team in some country that you've never been to. What's another? Becoming a manager. Added work. Added work. These are all the things at Ernst & Young that those coaches coach their employees through. Because these transitions are where people get tangled up. And then where the ball of yarn gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And so they do this on the regular. PricewaterhouseCoopers, they have external coaches. They have a legion of coaches that they bring in as consultants, if you will, to coach their organization. And so I bring this up to say that this is not a casual thing. These folks consider it part of their operating practices, right? So what can coaching look like for you? It can start with you, and then you can build a culture of coaching. Because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a culture of coaching because you're looking for a culture of accountability, right? So yeah, so there's a few folks up here that are, and this is a short list. There's plenty more. That's definitely a short list. So here's a couple of definitions of coaching. I want you to take a look at those. The one at the top is ICF. So ICF is the International Coaching Federation. It's the governing body, kind of like PMI is for project management. ICF is that for coaches. Take a look at those definitions. What stands out to you about these definitions? A partnership. What else? Process. What else stands out? Inspire. Who said that? Future-oriented. Thank you. Yes, we're going to see that in a second. What else? Creative. What else? Purposeful action. All right. So these are the, oh, I forgot to tell you. So the definition at the bottom, Ken Blanchard. Anybody familiar with the Ken Blanchard companies? I'm a huge fan of Ken Blanchard. Group B. He's in San Diego. Yeah, so you see some similarities there. But the whole idea of the concept of coaching is that I, as the coach, believe that you have everything you need to solve your problem. You are creative, you are whole, you are enough, and you're resourceful. Imagine that. So as a coach, you have to come to this concept, you have to come to this conversation without judgment. That's tough, isn't it? We like to be judgy, don't we? It's almost one of these human things, right? It's fight or flight. I mean, is this a thing I need to be afraid of, or is this a thing that's good, right? So it's kind of baked in, but we have to sort of tamp that down. Because the person coming to us, even though that ball of yarn is bigger and bigger and bigger, somewhere in there they have everything they need. And that's what coaching's about. That is what coaching is about. So here's what coaching is not. What is the thing right here? What kind of coaching is this? That's sports coaching. Now, who's a sports coach? Anybody in here? All right. So what do you do when you do sports coaching? What are you doing? You're teaching skills, right? So someone's doing a thing, and you're looking at that, and you're saying, okay, so here's how we can correct this thing. Here's how you can do this thing better, right? So that's sports coaching.
I don't know that it's only limited to that, though.
Tell me more. Dwayne?
I think,
yeah, no, let's hear it. Yeah.
I think coaches obviously do that.
Yeah, some of
they
that.
Inspire.
Of course,
Okay,
yes.
I mean, if you look at any renowned coach, And frankly, the ones that aren't, because those are the unsung heroes, right? They're out there teaching and inspiring their team members to be good team players.
Yes, absolutely.
Pillars of a community.
Yes.
Things of that nature. So I don't limit to just teaching a skill.
Did you raise your hand as a sports coach?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
But I've been in sports for about 20 some odd years.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought maybe you were a sports coach. Thank you for that.
My boys were in soccer for
Okay,
years, yeah.
all right. So that's the thing, right? So there is this inspiration quality to it, but he used a very important word here, teaching, right? So that's kind of what the role of the sports coach is, right? And that's not what this coaching is about. So that's different, right? And so mentoring, what is mentoring? Anybody get mentored? What's that?
Guiding.
Guiding? Yeah. It's, you know, this person's doing a thing, we're walking alongside them, we're helping again, course correcting. What's this one? All you have to do is show a picture of it. I don't even have a word there. We know that's therapy, right? And so that's different. That's different than this. And we'll talk about some of those differences. There was a gentleman here that brought up the term in the definition. And I said, I double clicked on it. What was it? What did he say? Future focused. So that's really the difference between therapy. So I'm making this a little smaller than it is. There's other differences, but when you think about one of the main differences between coaching and therapy is coaching is very future focused. Future focused. So when I am here on this day, at this time, I take whatever the issue is and I move it forward. I'm not like thrashing about what happened back here, because that's over, right? How am I going to move it forward? Do you think that'd be a benefit for you with the people that come to you as leaders looking for some resolution? This idea of a future focus? We could spend a lot of time on what happened yesterday, or what she said, or what he said. Those are all past tense. How are we going to move it forward? Like this executive that's coming to me, there's a lot of story, a whole lot of story about the stuff that's happening in his organization. That's not the thing. That's not the thing. The thing is you, where you are right now and how you're going to move it forward. Sure, I mean, if we want to talk about that, if you want to kind of add it in for salt, pepper, and a little seasoning, but that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at you right here and how you're going to move that thing forward, right? That's what coaching is. Future focused. It is absolutely future focused. I've enjoyed that. I took a coaching program probably about 3 or 4 years ago to really refine my work as a coach, and it's just been so illuminating for me. This concept of future focus is freeing in a way, because all the stuff in the back is what? It's baggage, and it's heavy. And we can't be light and nimble and agile if we're dragging around a bunch of baggage. So we have to move things forward. All right. So we have a scenario that's coming up, and it's going to come up on the screen. You're going to read the scenario, and then you're going to talk with the person next to you about how you'd handle that. Okay? This is the scenario we're also going to see in the coaching video. So grab a partner, grab a pen, grab a partner, grab a pen. I feel a little constrained up here. I like to move around, but this is what I get when I move around. You don't want to see all that, right? Like I'm blinded, I can't even see. All right, you have a partner, you have a pen, and you're going to take notes. Jessica, may I borrow this? Folks, you're going to take the notes on the back of this thing here. The notes for what you're going to do in this scenario, you're going to take on the back of this, okay? Take the notes on the back of this. Thank you, Jessica, for being my lovely assistant. Now, so here's the other thing. My hands are sweating, that's odd. All right, so here's the other thing. Each person's going to need to get a chance to talk, right? So I'm going to give you so you're going to read the scenario, you're going to take it in, you're going to decide what you're going to do, you're going to write a couple notes down, and then you're going to talk to the person next to you about it. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes for that, so please make sure that you share the time. Okay? All right, so let's see the scenario.
5 minutes just to read it?
No. We'll read it, and then you'll get some time, okay? All right, so here's the scenario. Give you a chance to read that. so a few people have done that. Okay, so when you get down to the bottom, what do you do and what do you say? So you're going to take a couple of notes about how you might handle this, and then you'll talk with your partner about how you might coach this employee. Okay? Your 5 minutes starts now. Thank you for waving. I know. So it's funny. So in the Agile community, we use a lot of this. When we're trying to calm a room of 200 people down, we just raise our hand. But it sounds like that comes from Boy Scouts. All right. So that's our time. All right. So you have the scenario. You had a chance to kind of think about it and talk about it. So any examples? And before you say anything, let me just say that whatever it is you put down is fine, right? So this is a judgment-free room. When you walk through that door, there was this filter of judgment, right? So we're just going to share whatever we came up with, and then we'll take a look at the video and see a real coaching session and what that looks like and what that can feel like. 5 minutes. All right, who wants to share? Yes, tell me.
All right, so in this situation, I would approach it. So I would look to my employee in the eyes and I would say, I see you're frustrated. I'm heading to a meeting. I want to give you my full attention. So the right thing to do is for us to set up some time so that we can address this issue immediately. I know this is important to you. I deal with this a lot of the times, so that technique has worked really well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Yeah, let me grab.
Thank you. So I'll tell the employee to breathe. Let's just calm down. We'll breathe first. And then basically saying that after the meeting we'll set up time, but also make sure that he or she does not do anything rational or irrational, but we'll figure it out together.
So there's kind of a point to be made here, right? If there's like no emergency and the building's not burning down or someone's not, we don't have a real problem, then we can, say let's have another time to talk through this. All right, yeah.
Well, we discussed the fact that, so we're on our way to a meeting, and so we just asked them to walk with us, and so we talk as we go along. And we recognize that this is something very important, and if necessary, we can set up a conversation later for conflict resolution. In the meantime, though, if it really is interrupting their work, that they should feel empowered to go to HR or an ombudsman and also discuss it with them directly.
Thank you for helping with the hand raising.
So what we discussed, the first thing that we picked out was we've had a conversation about this before. So in those 5 minutes, I think you've got time to reiterate whatever happened in that previous conversation. Go over some of those main points. Empower this employee to go have that conversation themselves, and ultimately give them the ability to come back to us if need be, if they're not comfortable yet in having that conversation.
So sort of remembering that we've talked about this before, and what can we bring from that previous conversation? Okay. All right, so a lot of different options that we can come up with. And so what we're going to see in this video, I'm looking over there because I think I have to go up there to turn it on, but when we see this video, here's what I want you to be looking out for. How is this different from what you think coaching is? How is this different from what you think coaching is? Because there were a lot of hands that went up in the earlier when I said, well, gee, how many of us are coaching in our organizations? There were a number of hands that went up. How is this different from what you think coaching is? Okay? So let me just go up here. We're going to go to the next slide. This is supposed to work. So hopefully it does. Nice. All right. So now, where's my mouse?
Now you're going to see a demonstration, a short demonstration, as if we were in the hallway. We're working together. There's a conversation maybe that's happened previously around this, and we're running into each other in the hallway. Lori is my employee, and he's got something to chat about.
All right. Hey, Signe, boy, I'm so glad I caught you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm on my way to a meeting. I've only got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, can I have the 5 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You know that project I'm working on?
Okay, yep.
We talked about it before. It's going well, but I'm really having trouble with Frank.
Okay. What's the trouble that you're experiencing?
Well, first of all, we seem to clash. Like it almost feels like anytime I say something, he always seems to have to say something contrary, is what it feels like.
Okay, so contrary one-upmanship, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I just started to notice that, like when we're offline, we seem to get along, but when we're in the room together, it's like, I don't know, but like he's different, and I'm just noticing, and I'm starting to.
So what does that bring up for you?
Well, it's bringing up for me, wow, I wonder if I've done anything wrong.
Okay.
Have I somehow pissed him off?
Yeah.
I guess that's...
So it sounds like confusion. It sounds like there's a place of confusion.
Definitely confusion, and I'm starting to be reluctant to speak up.
Oh, in the meetings.
Yeah.
So you're starting to hold back.
Yeah.
And kind of, that's a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know who you are. You're someone that speaks up and has an opinion, and I want you to know that those opinions, they're really valued around here. So it's really important that you actually find that way to have your voice in this situation.
Yeah, but I don't, I get,
So what do you need in order to feel like you can really be yourself in those meetings?
It's so obvious, but I guess I'm noticing I'm even reluctant to speak it, but I need to talk to Frank.
Yeah. What is it you need to say to him?
The censored or the uncensored version?
Give it to me straight.
Like, what's up? Why do you keep shutting me down? That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you think he's going to respond to that? Actually, here, let me tell you, so maybe you're giving me the uncensored version.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something I'm picking up about, like, well, to possibly give it to him in a way that he's going to be more receptive to it. Because...
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Because I'm almost feeling like I'm attacking him.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's what you want to do. Yeah, great noticing. And what's the thing that you can say to him that's going to enroll him into having that conversation with you?
Well, I guess the first thing would be to just say, hey, Frank, can we talk about, just maybe grab lunch or something.
Great. Yeah. Can we have a conversation?
Yeah. Because actually what's coming up as we're talking is, as I said to you, we actually do get along outside of the room.
Great. So great idea to have it as a conversation outside the room.
Yeah.
Great insight.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so have that conversation with him. What are the key points that you want to cover in it?
A little lost here because I keep wanting to say, so Frank, why do you keep shutting me down? So I want to go.
Right, and we know that's not going to be effective.
Yeah.
What's the thing you want to get out of it?
That every time I open my mouth, I don't feel like I'm being somehow attacked or judged.
Right, so you want to have a sense of options, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Doesn't feel like it didn't quite land.
But something is coming up for me. I could try this. I'm a little reluctant to, but I might say, maybe instead of like attacking him, say, hey Frank, I'm noticing this is happening.
Yeah.
Have I done, I could, okay.
I see where this is going, this is great.
Yeah, I could say something like, so have I done anything wrong?
Right, so you can actually almost turn it around.
And open up the conversation that way.
Super.
Yeah.
And I heard you say a minute ago that you're feeling a little bit reluctant. Here's what I know about you. When you share what's really going on for you, it has a big impact. Like you're the kind of person who people stop and listen to. So, yeah, really, I'm really excited that you're choosing, consciously choosing to make this decision about how you're going to work with Frank and work this out. Yeah. Good. Okay. So when are you going to have this conversation with him?
I'm gonna actually call him today and set it up for later in the week.
Okay. Will you drop me an email after you've had the conversation with him?
I will.
Okay. And if you don't, like if it's come to the end of the week and you haven't had the conversation, fire me an email.
I'll let you know.
Just to let me know that you didn't have it, but when you will have it. Great. I look forward to hearing what happens.
Thanks for the 5 minutes.
Good.
She's late.
By 36 seconds, though. 36 seconds.
Don't wait for her then.
Yeah. All right, so how is that different? How is that different when you raised your hand earlier? When you raised your hand earlier and you say, hey, yeah, we're coaching in our organization. How is that different?
Well, she wasn't trying, pardon me, she wasn't trying a solution. I felt she was really, she was very actively listening. She was very artful in her ability to inspire this individual as someone who is a credible resource that is valued in the company, which I think opened him up to being more open to expressing what he wanted to get out. And she led him through probing questions versus, I think you should do this, I think you should do that. And then to the point that you circled at the end of creating accountability, she noted to him that I want to know, how this goes. So I'm asking of you to follow up with me and let me know how it went. And if you didn't get it done, I want to know that too. And I want to know when you're going to get it done, because I'm not letting you off the hook. Right. So basically, she inspired him through. And how do you think she inspired him? She affirmed his skill sets. She acknowledged him. What else did she do to inspire him?
She allowed him to come up with the answer.
Allowed him to come up with the answer. How else did she inspire him?
She provided a comfortable space for the conversation.
Created the space for the conversation, a safe space. There's a comfort is good, safe is gooder. Yeah. What else? She acknowledged him. Yeah. That acknowledgement is so important. And so this is different. This is different. And she gave him the 5 minutes, didn't she? She gave him that 5 minutes. And in that so here's the thing. That takes a lot of skill. That takes a lot of skill. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying, we're all going to leave here and be able to do that on Monday morning. But what we will be able to do is become more aware of a couple of coaching techniques, and we'll get to these in a second. What else is different about this? Yes, tell me.
I noticed that he was more willing to do some work as well than in my organization.
Right. He's more willing. Yeah.
He's like willing to dig into his feelings and see where that led. And
Well,
I get a lot of.
yeah, so she brings up a great point. He's more willing, and she said, digging all into his feelings. But see, this is the culture, right? This is the culture we're trying to create, is a space where we bring our human selves to work. Because even though the people in your organization may not feel like they can dig all into their feelings, they still have them, right? And they still bring them to work. They just suppress them. And it's in that suppression that also tamps down innovation. It tamps down creativity. It can even create issues. And I mentioned this idea of safety. Has anybody heard of psychological safety? It's like, okay, so Amy Edmondson is the resource there. There's a great TED talk on it if you haven't listened to that, if you're not familiar with the specifics of psychological safety. But there's this concept called impression management. And if I don't feel safe, I'm just not going to speak up. And so that's where all your innovation goes, folks. Just right out the door with the employee. Because they don't have this safe space. They don't have that space to bring their feelings to work. All right, anybody else? How is this different? Yes, tell me.
I think quite often, when you're in that 5-minute scenario, you're thinking, I need to get to the meeting, I'll take that problem on. So you'll say, hey, look, I'll talk to that person later. And the point is, at no time in the 5 minutes did she take on the problem. She made sure that it was transferred back to the employee, so that way they're accountable.
Right? At no point in the 5 minutes did she take on that problem. Do you feel the elephant getting off of your shoulders right now? As a project manager, you always feel when that person comes to you, you immediately start getting tense because you feel the need to take on the problem. At no point did she take on that problem. Who did the most talking? Right. And we're going to see that in a bit, because when we do this exercise that you're going to do, there's a great acronym that I remembered from my coaching program. It's called WAIT. Why am I talking? Because if I'm the coach, I'm not supposed to be the one talking. I'm supposed to be listening, right? I'm supposed to be listening. All right, anybody else? Why is this different? Yes, in the back.
There was
So here's what's interesting. Did she ever bring up the other person? Yeah, because that's the story. Right? We're not getting in the story. We're not getting in the story. She asked him, what do you need? I love that question. What do you need? What do you want? So these are the open-ended questions that we're going to ask. You're going to get a chance to do this in a bit. You're going to get a chance to practice this stuff.
Well,
So,
she asked him too, though, he did not answer, which I thought was a very appropriate question, was what do you want to get out of this?
what do you want to get out of
He
this?
didn't answer her.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times, this is a great point. So Dwayne has memorized the video, which I think is awesome. I love this. I've watched this video a million times, and I love it. But the big point here, though, is that when you ask that question, what do you want to get out of this, you will get a blank stare. Because we're not accustomed to thinking about this. We're just accustomed to coming up to somebody and dumping our problem at their feet. So when someone says, what do you want to get out of this? I don't know.
It was such a simple answer. It was
Right.
because I mumbled to myself, he wants him to stop.
Right.
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 And that's ultimately what he
Right.
wanted.
Right.
So simple.
Right, it is simple. Yeah, it is simple. All right, folks, we're going to keep moving because we want to get to the part where you get to do the, look at the time. All right, so accountability, as you can see, it's built into the whole coaching story, right? And we'll see this in a bit, how it's built in. Get situated with all my tools here. All right, so secret sauce, I found this little thing here. I like this, secret sauce. The accountability bit, right? This is the secret sauce. And how do we get folks to really understand what do they want and how they can take responsibility for their own actions? All right, so I mentioned this earlier. This is this whole concept that you are creative, you're resourceful, and you're whole. And you can see in that coaching video that she believes that he is that, and that he can come up with his own solutions. And she's there to ask him the probing questions to help him get to those answers. All right? So these are the assumptions. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is the assumption you're going to have when we do this exercise in a bit. You're going to be the coach, and you're going to be the person being the coachee also, so you'll get a chance to do both. All right, so I mentioned my coaching program earlier. ICF is the organization that you would go to if you're interested in a coaching program. If you're interested in hearing more about the coaching program that I went to, it's called ICA, International Coach Academy. It's a woman-owned business out of Australia. They coach all around the globe. Everybody is from different countries. We're all coaching around the time zones, all coaching in English. You can put that on your feedback form, and I will send you some information about that. But if you go out to ICF and you go out to the PCC markers, PCC is the second level of coaching. It's it's a certification level, and it's the level that all the programs teach you at. They teach you at that program, but you need many hours, 500, to be able to get that certification. It's in these PCC markers. You have to pass this to be able to even get your lower level certification. And so there are a total of 11 markers. This is one of them. Or this is 3 of them, 9, 10, and 11. And so it's in these markers where you're creating accountability. So the point I'm making here is to even get your certification, you have to pass a series of markers. In a coaching session, you have to hit all these points. One of them is accountability. So coaching is baked into this whole story. It's not accidental. It's not happenstance. It is baked in. All right. So you're going to get a chance to coach. Look at him. He's all excited. I love it. All right. So a couple of tips up front. I'm going to give you a couple of tips up front. So there's this concept of levels of listening. If you're interested in a video on levels of listening from the same group that did the other video, put that on your feedback form, levels of listening. I'll send you the video to this. So the first level of listening is this. I'm talking to Jessica here, and Jessica's telling me a story. And I'm thinking about, oh man, I really need to check in for my flight. Should be doing that. So gosh, what am I going to do when I get home? That's right, I got this to do. This. So level 1 listening is very human, so don't beat yourself up for it. We all do it. To me, the most egregious level 1 listening is when I'm not even looking at Jessica. I'm like looking at my phone, or I'm looking away. That would be egregious, and you can control that. But the other bit of the mind wandering, don't worry about that. Just be aware of it. That's level 1 listening. I'm listening, but I'm also distracted. Level 2 listening is, I am listening to what she's saying. I'm also listening to what she's not saying. She might have an expression on her face. Because remember in the video where she said, it sounds like you're looking for a sense of options. And then she paused, and she said, that didn't quite land. And that's because of his expression. He had an expression that said, that's not really it, right? And so that's level 2 listening, where I'm really listening to what you're saying, I'm listening to what you're not saying, and I'm really connected in and present. You're going to bounce in and out of level 1 and level 2. All I'm asking you to do is just be aware that there is a level 1, level 2, and a level 3. Level 3 is you're like transcendent, right? You're noticing the temperature in the room. You're noticing all kinds of things going on around, right? So that's a very deep level of listening, and it takes a lot of work to get there, trust me. This was one of my biggest challenges, this whole concept of listening. So anyway, you're listening to your intuition, to what's your gut telling you. All right, and so these are the levels of listening. So you're going to get a chance to jump in and do this. All right. So on this, okay, so where's the handout? I need the, yes, thank you. So on this handout here, these are the questions that you're going to be asking. You're going to get a chance in the partnership that you have already created, you're going to get a chance to ask a few of these questions and be asked a few of these questions. Okay, so make sure that each person has some time to talk. Notice what level of listening you're in. Here's the thing. You don't have to follow these questions in the exact order, but you might start with what's on your mind to get things started, okay? To get the story out. Now, you're not going to hang out in the story, but you want to at least find out what it is they want to talk about. And so you might ask the question that feels the most natural to ask next. You're not going to get to all of these questions in the amount of time that we have together. But I just want to point out that these are the questions that you're going to be asking in the exercise, okay? Ask one, thank you very much. Tell me your name. Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, so ask one question at a time. That gets tough. When someone starts telling you a story, you want to just start riddling off all those questions. One question at a time. Ask one question at a time. Stick to open-ended questions. What's an example of an open-ended question? Or something that starts, what's the word that starts an open-ended question? What, how, right. So let me give you a tip about why. Why makes people defensive? So it is an open-ended question, but the minute you ask, well, why did you, whoosh, the hair on the back of the neck goes up. You're going to be in level 2 listening, so you're going to see that, right? So let's be careful about why. Let's be real careful about what. I would, in the early stages of trying to get your sea legs with this, I'd probably stay a little bit away from why. I know I think carefully about not using why, because I'm not trying to make somebody defensive. I want them to feel safe in this space and to open up and figure out what it is they need. All right. So what, how, who, when, these are all open-ended terms. Get comfortable with the silence. What are they doing when it's silent? They're thinking. Give them that space. Give them that space. This executive that I'm working with, he feels the need to fill the space. And every time I ask him a question, like, boom's got an answer. And so again, boom's got an answer. I'm like, I just want you to know that this is your time and this is your space. And I could sit here for the next 20 minutes in complete silence and be okay with that. I want to invite you to enjoy the silence because you need the space to think. You could hear him take a deep breath. He just needed to realize that silence is okay. All right, so ask yourself while you're talking, when you're talking, and you shouldn't be, and then listen beyond level 1, okay? So that's what you're going to do. Now, here's your exercise. We're going to jump right into it. Let me just also tell you that this comes from a phenomenal book, The Coaching Habit, Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever. Anybody have this book? I would get it immediately. Love it. These questions come from this book. These questions come from this book. And so, so we have a time box to exercise. So make sure that each person gets a chance to talk. I'm going to give you, yikes, I'm going to give you, when does this end? 10:15. Okay. So I'm going to give you 8 minutes. 8 minutes. So make sure each person gets a chance to talk, okay? Level 2 listening, or just be aware of when you're in level 1. All right, let's start now. Jump on in. Ask those questions. So with this fancy tool that the Boy Scouts use, the whole idea is when the hand is in the air, the mouth is closed. And so that we're, yeah. Thank you for that. So wow, a lot of activity. So what did you discover? You got a chance to ask some questions. You were conscious of your level 1 listening. Tell us.
discovered that I really, really wanted to solve the problem.
So this is kind of almost our conditioning as project managers, right? And this advice monster just comes up with a quickness. And honestly, the minute the advice monster comes up, what's happening? You are not listening. You're so in the level one, I want to solve this problem. And this is what happens. This is what happens for us. What else did you notice? Yes.
Along those same lines, I'll say it was a little bit hard to coach someone who has very similar pain points, right? So we're both sort of struggling with the same kinds of things on our teams, and how do we, demonstrate the value of the PMO, and how can we be there for our teams, and how hard it is because we don't have leaders that we can lean on. So so maybe we just helped each other a little bit, but.
I feel like I have a best friend now.
Exactly, you've got a great partnership. So, and this kind of takes us back to level one listening, right? And so there's a book that's here as a source at the end. I love the title of this book. I don't want anybody to be offended by it. It's called Ego is the Enemy. Because when we're in level one, it's just our ego. For whatever reason or whatever we're thinking about, it's our ego. And so even if we're finding a kindred spirit with the person that we're talking to create the real space for them, we have to get out of our own self and our own situation and really just be the container, or create the container and create the space for them to find out what's important for them. Yeah. Now, you could also say, can I take off my coaching hat and may I make an observation? Because you have a similar situation, you might be able to observe something that they might not have noticed. So that could be a great thing. But honestly, I find that the less I know about the domain of the person I'm coaching, the better. Because I'm not making assumptions about what I already know or how I might solve the problem. If you're like an astrophysicist, I'm your coach. I know nothing about that. And I could be a great coach outside of my own domain. I have to work harder. It's a bigger fight for me to get my ego to sit down and take a seat so that I can create the space for the person. Yes, what else did you discover? Tell us.
I was going to ask a follow-up question to that, which is as a typical Agile coach, you have an awful lot of expertise, and it's awfully easy to fall into teaching instead of coaching.
So that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up, Michael. Great point. And so as an Agile coach, there's a competency. I want you to look up this competency model. It's called the Agile Coaching Competency Model. It comes from a book called Coaching Agile Teams. The author of it is Lisa Atkins. And I'm just going to draw it up here really quickly for you. That's my business card right there too, by the way, so please take a picture of that. I stopped using the paper ones a long time ago. So competency model is this. I'll just draw out the pieces that are. So one of these is professional coaching. One is facilitating. These are the competencies that a team coach all the way up through an enterprise coach should have. Training, mentoring. There's some assumption that you have some clue about the Agile 101, whether it's DA or XP or Scrum or whatever it is. Here you're focused your whole career on organizational change. That's my specialty. You might be focused on the business. You might be focused on tech. Agile Coaching Competency Model, Lisa Atkins, Coaching Agile Teams is the source. I need to know as a coach when to put this hat on, this competency, when to use this competency. And there's a difference, a huge difference between coaching and consulting, right? And so I know when it's appropriate to have the consulting hat and when it's appropriate to have the coaching hat. Does that address your comment, Michael? All right. Anybody discover anything else as they were coaching or being coached? Yes, tell us. What did you discover?
So as a coachee, what I discovered is that the first question about what's on your mind was very positive. I was trying to find a problem, didn't have one. But through the questions, through actually the seventh question of what was useful from today's session, I changed my thinking into, not without even noticing, on, oh, this is a problem I actually have, and these are the tools I can use to solve it.
So the first, so he brings up a great point. A lot of times when people come to you with coaching, whatever the problem is that they bring to you is usually not the thing. The thing is way underneath that. And so it's the questions that we use to dig that out. Anybody else discover anything else? Anybody else? Discovery? Yes.
So I do have a question in relationship to how to balance your supervisor need, like the need for you to act as a supervisor and the need for you to act as a coach. As we were talking, one of the things that I did as part of the conversation was to come to her and ask for her to intervene for something for me, right? And I don't necessarily know whether or not that is a coach role, or so when you take your coach hat and when you put your supervisor hat as part of this conversation.
So one thing that I would invite you to explore is getting clear about when you have that hat on and when you're changing it with the person you're talking to. Because in the coaching hat, I'm not telling you to do anything, right? Because she wasn't telling him what to do. So with my coaching hat, I'm in inquiry. So I'm asking you the kinds of questions that can help you dig up what's important for you. I might say, so I need to take off my coaching hat for a minute, and as a supervisor, I need to ask you to do X, Y, and Z. I think what's important is just being clear about taking the hats off. Being clear that the coach one is about inquiry, about safe space, about bringing out the innovation and the creativity of your employees, and the supervisor hat may have some other things that go along with that are different. Being clear and aware of the two hats. All right, let's keep moving. We're almost at the end here, folks. So how can you get started? So one of the ways that you can get started to build your competency as a coach is get that book. That book is great. It's almost like a manager's field guide, and it's the one that's at the top of your handout, The Coaching Habit. I love that. I have it in the paperback form, and I have it in the electronic form, because at the end of every section, he takes you to a podcast, and you can listen to some more about it. It's a really well thought out book. I don't even know this guy, and I've just been talking about his book for forever. I think it's great. All right, so one of the biggest things that I also noticed in coaching is to be an effective coach, you have to know who you are. Right? You need to know who you are so that you can manage the ego, listen in level 2, do all those other things. And so awareness starts with some of these instruments. And so this disc instrument that I'm offering for you, I've got some up here. I've got some up here that I'll be handing out. When you hand me your feedback sheet, I will hand you one of these tickets. Make sure that your name and your email is clear so I can send you a note. Get your own coach. If you're interested in coaching, you can go out to the ICF website. You can contact me, whatever works for you. The ICF website has lots of resources there. Emotional intelligence and empathy, really powerful tools for coaching and powerful questions, of course. I mentioned this as a resource, coachfederation.org. That's the ICF website, coachfederation.org. You can find a training program there. You can find a coach there. These powerful questions here. If you are interested in this list of powerful questions, write questions on your feedback form, and I will send you this link to these powerful questions, or you can take a photo of that, of that slide there, and you can grab those for yourself, but I'm happy to send them to you. Remembering that what, how, when, those are the powerful questions. What do you need? You'll notice in your handout, what else is a question there? That's the money question right there. Someone has said all these things, blah, 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 I need this, I need that, blah. What else? Well, I don't know. Let me think about that. What else is a powerful question? So what did we look at today? We looked at what is coaching, what is it not? We looked at an exploration of that. We looked at a demo. You got a chance to try it out. You got a chance to really get your hands dirty on this one. You asked some powerful questions, and we talked about how to get started. So that's kind of the nuts and the bolts of this. I'm going to take you through a few resources that I have as books. Feel free to take photos of these as well. And this is all in your the handout that you'll get as well. Huge fan of Brené Brown. Page 131, if shame is in your organization, there's some ways that it manifests. And on page 131 of that book, you can read that list. Not that I have her book memorized. And there's this one, The Coaching Habit. Great book, I mentioned that one. Emotional intelligence. What's great about this book is at the back there's an assessment. You can take an assessment and you can kind of see what your baseline is for emotional intelligence. This book is amazing. Thanks for the feedback. We have to give and receive a lot of feedback as PMO leaders. This is an amazing, amazing book. Get that one. There's our friend, Ryan Holiday, ego is the enemy. I had a rough time with this. There's some examples he uses in there about how people have to put their ego aside. He talks about Jackie Robinson and coming into kind of integrating baseball, and I was like, just really tense with that. But I realized that ego is for everybody, right? We're all humans, and ego is built in, so how do we manage that? Empathy mapping is a great resource, too. I teach a lot of that in my Agile Foundations courses. And your feedback form. Please write DISC. If you're going to take one of these, write the other things that I said to write. If you want that stuff, like questions and some of the other stuff, you'll be giving that back to me. Remember that you have 2 weeks to fill this thing out, so don't lose it. Clip it to something you're going to remember, because you're going to throw it in your conference bag. You're going to throw your conference bag in the back of your trunk of your car, and then you'll be like, oh, I forgot about it. So yeah, so put it someplace where you're going to find it. I already talked about these upcoming things that I have coming on. And also give feedback on this. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to give the electronic feedback, but please write it on my form too. And that's it. That's me, Alicia McLean, Agile Transformation, Leadership Coaching, Training, Public Speaking. It's been my honor to be of service. Hopefully you took a nugget or two away from this. Let me get my business card and present that so you can... Voila. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you're taking one of these, please come to the front, hand me your form, and I will hand you one of these DISC profiles to take away. Thank you.